Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I'm Hanovi Schoonover, Operations Specialist for Redwind Consulting, and I'll be hosting this event. Before we begin, for those who may not know, Redwind is a nonprofit organization that provides tribal technical assistance on a variety of programs, including, but not limited to, tribal comprehensive, responding to urban natives, and elder abuse. This ranges from policy reviews via email to site visits. If you're interested, you can contact me at hanovi@red-wind.net. That's HONOVI at red-wind.net. You can also visit our website at red-wind.net for additional information on services we provide, upcoming events, and resources, such as handouts and guidebooks that you can download. As this states, this project is supported by grant number 15J OVW 21 GK 02258 TRIB, ordered by the Office of Violence Against Women, U.S. Department of Justice. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this publication, program, and exhibition are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the U.S. Department of Justice. This webinar is a part of our Tribal College Campus project and is presented by Mylira Green. This event has captioning, which you'll need to manually turn on from the menu. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them into the chat box or the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, or you can click the hand icon. You'll all be muted, so if we see the hand, we can then unmute you so that you can ask your question verbally. If there are any tech issues, you can send a private message to me and we'll try to get it resolved. I'll now turn it over to Mylira Green.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Mylira. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by trade, but I serve as a psychotherapist, a life coach, a master healer, and a transformative speaker. I am genuinely just a servant of just life. I want to be able to show up for people in the way that they need and being able to utilize my hand to pull people up. I'm naturally a healer. I'm a family woman. My children are my everything. If I do sound a little tired, my son has been sick the last week and we just now got him to 100%. But that's what it takes to be a mom. So those moms up here, I definitely give you kudos. And I'm a liver of life. I do a lot of things, but the one thing that I do pride myself on is being able to live life fully. And it's not because life hasn't happened to me, but it's because I've learned different tools that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today that has helped me to be able to really just enjoy today and not worry about all the things that happened in my yesterdays or worry about my tomorrow. So we're gonna go to the next slide here. So what role do you believe one's mental health play in advocating for one's needs in the workplace? And this piece here, when I say workplace, I don't view it just as going to work for a 9 to 5, but I view it as any place where you are doing. So whether with your family, whether in the community, whether in different organizations, and you guys can definitely put in the chat your answers here. What do you feel like your role, your mental health plays when it comes to advocating for your needs, when it comes to the space of us being human doers, less than being human beings? And I'll give you guys a moment to answer this question here. Again, what role do you believe one's mental health play in advocating for one's need in the workplace? So any place that you find yourself serving in any role or capacity. And as we wait, we can go to the next slide. You guys can keep it on. Biggest one for longevity. I completely agree. That is extremely important. I'm really big on telling people, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, is your reality has zero to do with what you see, but all to do with what you believe. So if my mental health is not okay, I don't care what's going on around me. If it is cloudy, I can't see that I can continue to keep going. Some people says can't give what you don't have. Absolutely. Wellness drives all. You can't pour from an empty cup. It is a big role that you have to be 100%. Peer support, my coworkers, my energy will rub off onto my staff. I believe a huge part, it is contagious. If you are not doing well, the people isn't going to do well with the information you share. Absolutely. It plays a very large role because you need to be mentally healthy to help other people, and then fill your cup first, and then you can support others. Absolutely. You guys are spot on. I want to say thank you for engaging today. For those of you who attended my last webinar with you guys, you may have done this activity, but I do want to welcome you to look at what it looks like when our bodies are off balance. So I'm going to welcome you to put both hands in front of you, just like this. And I'm going to see how well you can follow directions. We're going to put our right hand up in the air. And what I'm going to actually do for a moment, I'm going to pull this around and take away my background just so that you can see me here. You'll see all my nice little books here behind me. But we're going to put our right hand up in the air and we're going to push it forward 10 times. So, and if before we do that, when you put your hands in front of you, they should be the same length. If they're not the same length, I have questions, but I won't act right now. So we're going to put our right hand up in the air and push it forward 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you put your hands back out in front of you, the one that you just worked on should be longer than the other. What tends to happen, especially with the topic that we're going to be discussing today, and many of you provide support, is it's so easy to just keep giving and giving and giving and giving to people that we neglect what we need. And then we wonder why we're left unbalanced. We wonder why we feel exhausted. We wonder why we continue to have triggers that happen as we go through life. And it's because we're only focused on continuing to just pour and give to other people. But we have to have a space of self-love. We have to have a space where we prioritize ourselves, because if we don't prioritize ourselves, you're going to end up giving from empty. And it doesn't change the purpose that is inside of you, because people are going to still benefit from you. But it is going to change how you are actually impacted. And I love to tell people life is like a rose bush. You go to a rose bush, it's beautiful on the outside, but the closer you get, the thorns you have. And you have to ask yourself, are you a paper cup or a glass vase? What do I mean by that? The purpose inside of you do not change. But if I'm a paper cup, every time there's a thorn that hits me, my purpose is going to seep out and the world is going to benefit from it, but I'm not. But if I'm a glass vase, I get to decide when I pour out. And that's a sense of self-love. And that's what I want to focus on. And because I want to be able to be invited again, we're going to balance out the left side. So we're going to do the same exact thing on the left side. So push your left hand up in the air, push forward 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put your hands out in front of you. You should be back balanced again. That is called brain gym. And what it does, it helps to bring your right and left hemisphere of your brain together. When people experience some traumatic events, what ends up happening is it literally pulls away the two hemispheres. So doing activities like this can bring it back together. And I wanted to be able to give you guys something tangible. You can do this every single day if you want to begin to heal the neurons, being able to bring back some balance. So we cannot give what we don't give ourselves. We're going to go ahead to the next slide here. And thank you to everyone who participated with that. So let's start this out, right? People may be asking, Mylira, out of all topics that you can talk about, out of all topics that you can discuss, especially when we're talking about thriving beyond having a trauma, being able to push through if I'm a domestic violence victim, if I've experienced sexual abuse and assault, like how do I bring self-love into this? And the way that I create harmony, because balance sometimes can get you off whack. If I put something there, it's going to push my balance off. But if I create harmony in my life, then what ends up happening is I'm able to continue to thrive because I have things happen in each area. So as we're going through this, please feel free to engage with me. If you want to put comments inside of the chat box, I do see you guys' comments here. I want to say thank you. If you want it to be anonymous, do it in the Q&A section and I make sure I acknowledge you. But the way that I do this is what I call the 6 dimensions of life. Now, I'm going to give you this disclaimer. Anytime I do this, I say something different because it really comes to my core and my gut. I'm going to give you what I believe you need at this time. So please take down notes, because if you ask me towards the end to repeat something, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I want to give you that disclaimer because this really comes from the heart. I feel the energy of those people, of each person that's in the room, and I try to pour it back out to you guys. So those 6 dimensions that I have is your spiritual wellness, your mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, social wellness, and cash flow. The first 3 is really about you. That spiritual wellness here, I want you guys to think about cell phones, right? We're all like cell phones. And before they started getting fancy and we could intermingle, back in the day, an iPhone charger could not charge an Android and vice versa. I need to know what type of phone I am so that I can know what type of charger cords I need. But then there's another piece of this that we forget, which is the outlet on the wall. The outlet on the wall always have some type of currency going through it. But if I don't pay my bill, here in Virginia, we have Dominion Power. They're going to turn off my electricity. It doesn't mean that they turn off the actual energy that's there, it's just I don't have access to it. And that is our spiritual wellness. That is the space that we get to go to when mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and in our cash flow, we don't have nowhere else to go. We don't have that friend to talk to. We don't have that resource to use. So I tell people, go back to who you are spiritually. It's not about having a specific religion or an agenda, but this is really about going back to the core of who you were before the world gave you labels, before the world told you who you are. And there are some of us right now that is in this room that have received a spiritual collection notice because we haven't taken the time to tap back in. You are a dope phone and you have some dope chargers, but you cannot get charged up if that source is not going through that outlet in the wall. So I want to encourage you guys to really sit back and think, what can I do to tap back into that spiritual wellness? And quickly in the chat, just let me know, what are some things that you do? For some people, it might be religious things like going to church or attending a mass or going to some type of religious event. For others, it might be meditation. I see yoga here, which is awesome. For some people, it may be being in nature, smudge, even at work. Absolutely. Walk in the woods, being able to tap back into you where nobody else has access to you. Church, friends, going to the woods and nature. I love all this. Not feel so guilty or sorry about things I like to do. Meditation, smudging, riding horses, word searches, praying and meditation. You guys are on it. But when we begin to negate this crafts, then what ends up happening is that's when we start to become depleted. We have listening to, I don't want to say this wrong, but I think it's a Poet music. I've never heard of that, but I'm definitely going to look it up. Zumba, weightlifting, sweat lodge, ceremony, yoga, church, grounding myself, going to the gym, church. You guys share a lot of similarities. So this is awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. When I begin to negate the thing that actually allows for me to have enough power to keep going, then that's when I become depleted. And even though this is such a huge part, the next 2 is even more important. And I see taking a hike here. Thank you guys for sharing. Now, the next one is your mental wellness. Why do I separate your mental from your emotional? It's because your mental is what you tell yourself you're experiencing, where your emotional is what you actually feel and the actual feelings that you have as it relates to that. Why are these 2 important? I start with spiritual because many of us start with spiritual. but I can only go as far as in my spiritual as I believe that I can in my mental. It goes back to what I said when we first started. Our reality has zero to do with what we see, but all to do with what we believe. I know some thriving homeless people, and I know some miserable millionaires. Why? Because their mental tells them who they are. You have to know that you have value and worth. You have to know that you are enough. You have to know that regardless of the experiences that you have had, that you are still enough, have done enough, that you are worthy, that you bring something to the table, that the things that make you different and unique is the very thing that helps the world go round. You have to know in your knowing that you are the best you there is. You have to know in your knowing that even if they don't choose you, you were still the best option. There was just not the best opportunity for you. When I know in my knowing who I am, and I know that I am great, I know that I am valuable, I know that I can make it, I know I can keep going, then emotionally, I'm going to experience more joy, peace, happiness, and love because I told myself, despite my circumstances, regardless of what my story is, regardless of the pain that I've endured and I've experienced, I'm going to emotionally feel joy because I know that I'm worth it. I know that I have value. And sometimes this is very hard for people who have experienced trauma, that have experienced violence, because the messaging is time, especially if you are a victim more than once, is that you're not worth being protected, that you're not worth being loved, that you're not worth being cared for. And I'm here to tell you today that that is the complete opposite. And if you are some person that's like, hey, but Mylira, I hear all that you're saying, but this is really hard for me because the person that has hurt me, they will never apologize to me. The person that has hurt me has never said, I'm so sorry for messing up your life. I'm so sorry for taking that moment of innocence from you. So because they have never done that, I'm going to take the time out right now to do that for you. So in this moment, I just welcome you to just close your eyes for a second. And as you close your eyes, I want you to envision yourself at the moment that hurt you the most. Now, if this becomes too hard, you can take a moment to take a step away. But I'm going to give you something that hopefully can allow for you to walk forward for the rest of your life. As you are in this moment, I want you to imagine yourself embracing you, giving yourself the biggest hug you've ever given yourself. As I read this letter of power to you. Dear survivor, you are more than enough. Your life experiences do not define who you are, but cultivate your very essence. Suppose you have never received an apology from the person who hurt you. In that case, I take this time to set a heartfelt apology on their behalf because you deserve to be free from the entrapment of their egregious actions. I apologize for the years of pain you have endured due to that moment that you will never get back. I apologize for all the decisions and actions you've made that were more detrimental to your well-being or that of others due to trying to find normalcy again. I apologize for the years you spent in bondage trying to figure out what you did to attract such experiences. I apologize for you for the years of self-love you missed out on because the message you kept hearing was that you did not deserve love. Please know that you were only a victim in that moment. But as I read this to you, my friend, you are a survivor. Just like survivors of major illnesses get celebrated when they go into remission, I celebrate you today because you are no longer a victim. You are the best you there is, and you are free. Walk in your freedom. Peace, love, and light. Give yourself one last big hug, and I want you to take a deep breath in. And when you come back into the space, with one word, just describe how do you feel right now. And as we go through this process and journey together, I am telling you, you are worth being loved. I am telling you, you are worth safety, security, feeling lighter. Y'all keep coming. We're here together right now today, enlightened. You guys are worth it, reflective. So when we can tap into that spiritual wellness and then know in our mind's eye how amazing we are, then emotionally We're going to begin to feel validated because you have value, you have worth, you are priceless. I cannot go into Walmart and purchase you. So your value is off the charts. And once you know that, you can continue to move forward in everything that you do. So let's get to the last three of these. Thank you guys for sharing. I hear valid, peaceful, calm, relaxed, grateful, hopeful, reflective, enlightened. You guys are amazing. And I hope that you guys know that you have value, you have worth. And we're going to go into the next one here. And the next dimension, as we wait for the presentation to get to the next one, is your physical wellness. Now, your physical wellness is so much more than the size that you are on a scale, the size that you wear in your clothing. But we have this one meat suit, okay? I call it a meat suit because it reminds me that one day it is not going to be here anymore. No matter what our beliefs are, what happens after death, whether that's eternal life, whether that is becoming an ancestor, whether that's coming back in reincarnation, whatever your belief is, this physical meat suit that you have is temporary, it's borrowed, it's on borrowed time. And you have to ask yourself, what am I doing to prepare this meat suit to fulfill my purpose and my dreams and my goals? It goes bigger than just the size on the scale. That's a part of it because I want to make sure that I can fulfill my life's purpose by being healthy enough to actually execute it. But I also need to ask myself, where am I putting my physical body? What environments am I putting myself in? Yes, it's about what I eat, but not just the food. What am I feeding myself in my ears? What am I feeding myself through my eyes? What am I feeding myself through the environments that I'm placing myself in? Because this is the one thing that is carrying my big purpose. You have a big purpose. We're just waiting for our flesh to catch up. So this physical has to be spot on. I don't know about you, but I've been to buildings that once I go one time, I ain't going in again because I don't feel safe. I don't feel like I belong there. So ask yourself, when you walk into a space, do people feel like they belong? Do you shift the atmosphere before you even say anything? We have to really ask ourselves this. And another analogy that I want you to think about is sometimes what we do is we park our cars in front of our houses, but then we go to our neighbors' houses and we change their tire, we change their oil, we give them a full detail, and we don't even know what detailing is. But when an opportunity comes our way and we try to go outside and start our vehicles, guess what happens? It doesn't start. When a car says idle, it does not start. So today, let this be your reminder to start just a little bit. Even if the only thing you can do is go outside, start it, and put it in neutral because you don't know where to go, at least go out and start it. Take the time to actually do something with this body to make sure that you're doing well, to make sure that you are good enough and whole enough. And if there's been parts of you that has been physically damaged, this is coming from somebody who has been a survivor of sexual abuse and assault. That I am telling you, I had to take moments where I had to reclaim this body and redefine it, to take back my power and remind myself that that moment was just a moment, to remind myself that I am still worthy. So when I do eat, I eat with intention because I know I want to fuel myself with greatness. When I do go into atmospheres, into spaces, I want to make sure that physically I'm good, because then it goes to your social wellness. This is where it gets fancy. I want you to simply ask yourself, who do I have charging me up? There are some of you on this line that has upgraded your cell phones, but you haven't upgraded the charger and you're wondering why you never get to 100%. It's because you have people, places, and things in your life right now that no longer serves a purpose. You have naysayers in your ear and you're wondering why you still have a victim mentality, and it's because they're reminding you of every pain, every wrong turn, everything that you've done wrong, instead of pushing you forward. Or if you are in a role of an advocate or a role of a worker or a role of a support, you tell yourself that I can't feel what I feel because how can I help others if I'm going through my own thing? I am here to tell you, if you don't get nothing else from me, I am a darn good social worker and therapist because I allow for my experience and my expertise to marry together to really create transformation in other people. Your story is what makes you powerful. So socially, you need to know who's charging you up. We are all living this thing called life together, and there's this play. You are the front row, you're front center, but there's places that people have to be placed at, and you have to be okay moving some people around. You may have your front row people that get to see the sweat on your brow, get to see you trip, get to see you fall, see you stutter. They get to see everything, but you get to choose those people. And those are normally only 2 to 4 people. Then you have your middle row people. They don't see the trip, they don't see the stumble. They see and hear exactly what they're supposed to. Then you have the balcony people. They only hear, but they don't see it. But there's another group of people I want to tell you about. That's the parking lot people. Those are the people that can't even afford to be in your space. And sometimes that's family. But it is okay to move some people around because we all are like cell phones. When you get to 20%, you're going to get that wonky message that says energy save mode or cancel. When you push cancel, you might as well plug your phone in because it's going to die in the next 15 minutes. Who do you have charging you up? And if it's nobody, listen, king, queen, baby girl, baby boy, male, female, I want to tell you, you're going to need some charger cords soon, or you're going to be left empty and depleted. And it's going to take a level of trust. And if you have been a victim, that trust can be very, very hard. But I am here to tell you that there are people that is specifically made just for you to charge you back up. And then we get into cash flow. Listen, I'm not here to promise you millions of dollars because I don't have that yet myself either. But I am here to tell you that cash is like a bird. If you go out and chase it, it's going to continue to fly away. But when you function in your strengths, you function in your purpose, you function in what you were called to do, the money is going to flow to you with least resistance. So in this space, I just want to encourage you to know that you were made with strengths. You are not defective. You are not on the island of misfit toys or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But you have value, you have worth. You were born with strengths. You were born with an antidote to someone's cancer in this lifetime. So when you can actually walk in your purpose, the money will flow to you. So again, we have your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, social, and cash flow wellness dimensions. And if there's a space or time where you're like, hey, like, how do I find harmony in that? At the end of this presentation, you're going to have an actual QR code that's going to take you to my free personal development actual worksheet. And what that does is give you access to being able to map out and plan out each of these areas and be intentional, because you deserve to be intentional. And as we actually build on this together, if you have any questions on this, because we're going to pivot a little bit more of how to use self-love now as a key to thriving, please feel free to put those questions in there. We're going to go to the next slide here. And again, this is the personal development plan. You'll have access to this. But the thing that you're going to be looking at is what's happening right now. What's the plan that you want to happen? Ultimately, you want to dream out loud. How will I know that I've been successful? A lot of times we'll have dreams and goals and aspirations, but because we never think about what it's going to look like when we get there, it could get here and we still don't feel like that we've been blessed with whatever we've asked for. We want to look at what actions we want to take in 3 months. It is broken down to each quarter. So now I know what my ultimate dream is. What can I do in the next 3 months to get me there? What are the resources I can use? Again, those charger cords, the people, places, and things that can support you. What's my end goal? And anything that you create, you want to reward it. A lot of the times we don't keep going forward because we don't reward the little small things. Celebrate every time that you accomplish a goal and dream, because you're going to continue to go forward in life. We can go to the next slide here. So again, ask yourself what type of phone you are and be okay owning that. You know, if you love Androids, love your Android. If you love iPhone, love your iPhone. But at the end of the day, know who you are so that you can know what charger cords you need to continue to go forward. And now we're going to get to the exciting part of this presentation, which is the self-love part. And we can go to the next one here. And I'm super duper excited. So this say the key to inclusion, the key to thriving, all of that. This includes you. We're going to talk about you. You holds the rest of these letters together when it comes to inclusion. And the reason why this is so important is because you need to know that you are included in the world's purpose, the grand scheme of things. If you do not know that, you're not going to want to implement self-love into your day-to-day. You're just not. So let's go to the next slide here and let's dive in. We're going to be using self-love to this. So I don't think that this is the updated presentation. So I definitely apologize if any of this wording does not speak to you guys, but I'm going to break this down as much as I can. And if this saying is offensive, my breakdown should not be. So I want to give that disclaimer because we did update this slide, but it's not updated right now. So I apologize, right? If it is offensive to you guys. But the S in self-love is story. When I say you have to get in bed with your story to conceive your purpose, what I mean is sometimes you need to just sit with what your story is, acknowledge the pain from it, so then you can get to your purpose. Who I am and who I'm talking to you guys about today, I did not become until I acknowledged my story, until I realized that there was a purpose behind what I experienced. So when I say, yes, I'm a therapist and I have all these credentials behind my name, who you're really listening to is someone who was exposed to sexual play from 3 to 13, that is a survivor of sexual abuse and assault, that is a suicide attempt survivor. Those are a part of my stories, but it does not negate the purpose that I have. My purpose is super huge. So instead of me running away, I'm going to sit with my story. I'm going to embrace what my story is, and I'm going to stop being ashamed that these are parts of who I am, because this is how I fulfill my purpose. So we heal through our storytelling. We heal through being able to share with other people, because once we start sharing, we will realize that other people are not as offended because we're actually speaking the pain that they feel on the inside. You are not alone. You are not the only victim. You are not the only one that has experienced parts of your story that you have. But the more that we isolate and the more that we don't normalize sharing our story, the more that we're going to begin to suffer. So this storytelling, hands down, being able to embrace our story where we don't feel ashamed, we don't feel guilt, but we acknowledge that it happened, and then we walk forward in our purpose with our head held up high and knowing that we are, the next slide here is empowered. You are not powerless. You have free will to determine where your power goes. Just because life has happened to you does not negate the greatness that's going to come from your life. When you are empowered, that means I get to control where I put my power at. I can easily be that person that says, woe is me, this happened to me, my life is over. Or I can say, this happened to me, but because it happened to me, I'm going to be so much more grateful that I still have life in my body. I want to welcome you guys just to take a deep breath in. Let it out. That breath was just someone's last breath. So we cannot say that we don't have power. We cannot say that we don't have what it takes inside of us to continue to push forward and keep going. You will not give up. You shall live and not die. You should not be stuck and stop at some of the stressors or things that you have experienced, because you do have power to continue to go forward and take a step forward. You do have power to continue to maintain who you are, but you determine that. Life is choices. I can either choose to stay stagnant or I can choose to get forward. If you know right now that you're empowered, I want you to simply put in the chat, I'm moving forward. Because I want you to be intentional with your words. I want you to not be stuck where you've been this long time. I don't want for you to be the same way that you were before we even started this presentation. I want you to believe that you are going to move forward. Yes, I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. Keep it coming, y'all. We are moving forward. This is the best time to say this now, because 2024, I don't know about y'all, but it came pushing me inside of the boxing ring. Okay, it came with sick children. It came with a sick dad. It came with my business doing some things. But I have learned that I'm going to continue to move forward, because today I'm choosing to do that. I have power enough to keep doing that. And you have the same thing. Why? Because the next slide is, you are lovable. Stop placing conditions on your love. Stop saying, when I get to a certain size, if I get married, if I have children, if I get this promotion, if I do this, then I'll love myself. Love yourself unconditionally, because you are enough, you have enough, and you've done enough. I'm going to say it one more time. You have enough, you are enough, and you've done enough. Love yourself just the way that you are. If Mylira doesn't do one more thing, I know that I am loved. And I know that I'm lovable. And if there's people out there that cannot love me, then they're just not my people. Remember them charger cords? I just need to change my charger cords out. So if you are waiting for something to change, if you don't get not one more certification, if you don't complete that degree, if you don't do not one more thing, who you are right now is lovable enough. You are enough. So love yourself for where you are. And if you don't know what that looks like, I want you just to focus on your breath, because that's love. That is your creator, whoever you believe your creator are. But it's their contract to you to show you that you are loved enough, that you have right now, this right now moment, to keep going forward and to keep living. And once I know that I'm lovable, then I can do the next slide, which is I can be faithful. Faithful and be committed to my goals, my dreams, and my aspirations. I do not declare that I have it all together, but I'm going to be faithful to the purpose in which I have. I get asked all the time, Mylira, how do you do all the things? I'm a full-time single mom. I'm a full-time PhD student. I just finished a full-time undergrad certificate program in December. I'm ready for my dissertation. I have 2 full-time businesses. I'm a clinical supervisor. I do things like this on a daily basis. If you see me, if you ever follow me on social media, I still live my life. I go out with friends. I do dinner. I go do all the things that I want to do. Why? Because I am faithful to my goals, dreams, and aspirations. I am not going to stop living just because I serve certain roles. Now I'm going to talk to my moms in the room just for a second. Des, I'm not excluding you, but I'm a mother. And I love to give this analogy. I live off the beach, and anytime I have to go to the restroom, I ask my children over and over again, who needs to go to the bathroom? Of course, they never have to go. So after 5 minutes of asking, I can't hold it anymore, so I go to the bathroom. And guess who has to go to the bathroom once I get there? My children. The only way they're going to make it there is if I left footprints in the sand. There are some of us, because of the roles that we play or the titles that we have put in our goals, our dreams, and aspirations on the shelf. But the only way those people that we're doing that for is going to even go forward is if there's footprints left in the sand. If you stop living, how are they going to live? If you stop going after your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations, then how are they going to fulfill their goals, their dreams, and aspirations? I'll give you a prime example. Last year for my children's spring break, it was my finals week for my PhD program. And I told my professors I said, listen, you guys give a grace week, and I'm gonna need a grace week because this week is for me and my children. I did the week, I came back, and it was time for me to put my student hat on. And I remember telling my children on the way back from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I said, mommy's gonna have her laptop out now. And my daughter, she's 7, she said, why, Mom? I said, because I'm in school and I have schoolwork to do. She looked at me like she saw a ghost. She said, Mommy, you're in school? And at the time, I had already been a full-time student for 2 years, and my daughter had no idea that I was in school. Why do I share that? Because I'm so faithful to my goals and dreams and aspirations that I still showed up fully as a mother. I'm still showing up fully as a student. And when I die, I get to die empty because I fulfill every goal and dream that I have. What dream are you holding off on? What goal have you not accomplished because you haven't set the steps that you needed to because you put it off on hold? What aspirations do you have, but you think that because you are defective, because of your story, because you were a victim, because this thing happened, you counted yourself out? Let this be a charge for you to dream again. And if you want to put in the chat, what is one dream that today you're going to decide to keep going? Today you're going to decide to pick it back up. It could be something as simple as reading every day, or something as grandiose as running for president one day. But what is one dream today that you can commit to be faithful with? Making art every day. Absolutely. I love to hear that. Art is amazing. It's healing too. So definitely please do that. Reading in my crafts. So you guys have dreams and goals and aspirations. Getting connected to my spiritual self. Start writing again. What better time than now? Mindfulness every day. I love it. Keep it going. I'm going to live for my kids and love them so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. And showing them that the sky is the limit. I want to retire and travel. I have some time to retire, but I'll definitely travel with you. But I want you guys to understand that you get to decide right now, how are you going to be faithful? And these are the self. You want to embrace your story so that you can be empowered to know that you are lovable enough to be faithful to your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Learning my language and teach my 3-year-old. I want to make a difference and leave a tribal imprint. Absolutely. And I want to share this here too. This is a part of me being committed to my goals, dreams, and aspirations. So I am Mylira Indian. That's what they call us here in Virginia. And there's so many complexities to that I haven't really been able to embrace who I am as a native. So when I am given the opportunities to do these things, it puts me closer to being able to do that. And I do know that there's certain things that I do not know. I promise you, I'm not trying to be offensive with any terminology or things like that, because I never had the opportunity to really sit at the feet of my ancestors and those that came before me. So when I am presenting in spaces like this, I count it a joy and an honor, because it's a part of my aspirations to get as close to who I am holistically as I can. So you guys talking about making a difference and leaving a tribal imprint and learning your language and teaching your 3-year-olds, if you have access to those things, please do that, because someone like me, there's a lot of difficulties of me being able to connect. So I just want to give you guys that as well. Be faithful to that thing that is important to you, because not everybody has access to it. And that should make you even more want to do it beyond that. So let's get to the love part. So once we've embraced our story and we know we empowered and we're lovable and we can be faithful, we can now live liberated. We want to walk in who we are and walk in freedom. I am a Mylira everywhere I go. I'm acknowledging I may not be everybody's cup of tea. I am growing every day, so I may not use the best set of words, or I may not sound like everybody else, but I am liberated to be me, because I know that there are people in the spaces that I frequent that are going to be changed because of my voice. So I'm liberated to do that. So whatever it is that you want to freely walk in, go and do that, because there's people lives that's attached to your freedom. So be unapologetically who you are. If you are an introvert, be the best introvert that likes to be with themselves. And then when you build those connections, have powerful connections. If you are an extrovert like myself, be bold, be loud, be proud, but then also make room for other people. When I begin to walk in my freedom, I'm no longer ashamed of my story. I'm no longer ashamed of who I am. I'm no longer ashamed of the different steps that I need to take, because I am liberated enough to chase after my goals, my dreams, and aspirations. So then I can go to the next piece, which is opportunity. Will your opportunity reach preparation? There are some of us on this call, and I say us because I have to remind myself every day that we count ourselves out of opportunity, so we don't do any preparation. I desire to reach this goal, dream, and aspiration, but because I've already told myself I wasn't good enough, because I already told myself I didn't have what I needed, because I told myself I didn't have the resources, I did not prepare. And when the opportunity came my way, I was not ready. I want you to do this for me. Hold your fists together. If I was to bring the very thing that you have been waiting for and place it in your hands, how are you going to carry it? We have to open our hands up and be prepared for the very thing that we've been waiting for, and believing that it's ours, believing that we have what it takes to do it. And if I need more education, if I need more credentials, if I need more understanding, if I need more support, I'm going to get what I need to prepare, because I know that I am valuable enough to receive that opportunity. I know that I'm valuable enough to actually get to that point, to get to that space, because that is what's going to be very, very important, is for me to be prepared. Because once I start the preparation process, when the opportunity comes, I'm now going to have everything I need to go forward, and I'm not going to have to wait, and I'm not going to have to put things on hold. So I really want you guys to start preparing for the opportunities that you have asked for. And if you feel like you're not equipped, then that's when those resources are going to be important, like going to therapy, like going to your spiritual and your religious leaders, like engaging in meditation and mindfulness so that you can ground yourself and become grounded in who you really are, like smudging and making sure that your atmosphere and environment is not inclusive of anything negative, but setting your atmosphere to be conducive to the best version of you, to be conducive to the best version of what the world has to offer you. You have to be prepared for that opportunity and believe that you deserve it. But if you at a space and you're hearing this and you're saying, Mylira, I hear everything that you're saying, but you don't know the pain that I'm enduring. You don't know how this has really turned my life upside down. You don't know I have tried the resources and they failed. You don't know my story. Then we can go to the next one. And my hope to you is that this presentation serves as ventilation to your soul. Let what needs to die, die, and then live. Give yourself CPR. I shared with you guys that I am a suicide attempt survivor. My father chose life for me when I chose death. And I talked a little bit about this during my last webinar, talking about navigating through suicidal ideation and how we can choose life when death seems like the best option. But there are some of us that pain is so gripping that we don't know how to move forward. And I'm here to tell you that you are worth living. You shall live and not die, that was only a moment of time, and allow for those parts to shed off of you. But today you are the best version of yourself. Today you are worth love. Today you are worth living in liberation and freedom. Today you are the best option. And you're going to continue to have to tell yourself that until you believe it. You're going to continue to have to tell yourself that until you believe it. So if you are someone right now that's like, you know what, I'm going to allow for today to be CPR to the rest of my life, just simply type CPR. Because I want you to know that you don't have to continue your life the way that it's been before this moment here. This moment is your second chance that you've been looking for. This moment is your opportunity to be able to be filled and be able to be poured in. So if you came with an empty cup, I hope that this at least gets you to half full. My hope and my desire is that underneath my voice, that you know that you are worth living, that you know that you are worth any experience that you had, that you know that you are worth anything that you desire. It is yours. Now is time. Because once you know that it's yours and you allow for this moment to ventilate you, then we can go to the E, and that's living evolved. Once the old is gone, do something different. If you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always gotten. So today, my hope is that this encourages you to do something different. That you embrace your story. That you know that your story is not counting you out, but it's actually putting you in. That you feel like you are empowered enough to choose life, to choose to move forward, to choose to keep living, to choose to do the opposite of what you feel sometimes. Sometimes we don't want to keep going. But if I do the opposite, I'm going to do the opposite because I know that I'm lovable. I know that I'm enough just the way that I am. I know that I've already done enough. I know that I have enough. I know that everything that I need is already inside of me so that I can be faithful to my goals, dreams, and aspirations. So then I can live liberated. So when the opportunity comes, I'm ready. And then I can be okay with not being okay and not staying there, though, by admitting that I need some people to ventilate me up. I need the right charger cords to get me back to 100% so that I can live an evolved life. And that's how we begin to thrive. That's how we begin to live this harmony within the 6 dimensions of life, which is your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, social, and cash flow. So you can live your best life. We can go to the next slide here. So again, inclusion, because we want to include you into this life. Inclusion starts with knowing that you are enough. Thriving starts with knowing that you are enough. Living starts with knowing that you are enough. And if you didn't get anything from today, I really hope that you see this thing up here in the corner that says you're enough, because I believe that. I know that. And I hope that you know that now too. We can go to the next slide. So any questions, you guys? I know that I have a few minutes to spare. My hope is that you sincerely saw my heart. This is not just a webinar for me, but this help saves lives. When you can truly love yourself, when you can see that you are valuable, when you can see that you're enough, when you can see that you're not counted out just because of your experiences, that we can continue to move forward and press forward in our life. Okay, so I have a few questions here. What was the L in love? Liberated. So we want to be able to live liberated in the space of our freedom. Being able to be freely yourself in any environment that you're in without being worried about how other people feel. So the L in love is liberated. Okay. How did you start on your self-love journey and what steps did you take? That is an amazing question. I started when I was 17 years old after I wanted to take my life. The time that my dad saved me, he came into the door 3 seconds before I could finish what I was doing. And I looked in the mirror and for the first time I said, "You are worth living. There's no way that your life was saved for you not to be worth living." And then I started to go to therapy and really try to learn who I am as a person. But what really started on my self-love journey is after I lost 2 children, I had my rainbow baby who was my daughter. And I reflected on all of the women in my life, how their stories replicated mine with the sexual trauma, with the depression, with the suicidal ideations, and all those things. And I said, I did not want my daughter to experience the pain that I experienced. So 7 years ago, I made the commitment to take it serious of me learning who I am. So then she never has to go through a period of time not loving who she is, because I've made a lot of choices and decisions in my life that was risky, all because I didn't have self-love, all because I looked for other people to give me self-love. And that's how I started that. And I started focusing on the 6 dimensions of life, which was birthed overnight in the beginning of me having my daughter, because I was trying to figure out, like, how can I balance this? How can I love myself, be a mom, be a wife at the time, be all these things? How can I balance without losing me? And that's when I created those 6 dimensions of life. So those are my steps. Hopefully that answers your question. Please let me know. But that is how I started the self-love journey. It started from a selfish place of me not wanting my daughter to experience the same pain that I did. And now I take it as a joy because I get to help other people with that journey as well. I have a few people who couldn't make it to the webinar, but I know they love to see it. Will it be recorded and accessible to them? I think that that is actually a question for the host. So I'll let him chime in real quick.
Hi, yes, it is being recorded.
Awesome.
And it's going to be uploaded onto Redwind's YouTube channel within the next few days.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. What do you think about criticism and stay centered? Um, So if I hear this question correctly, are you talking about criticism of self or what? I want to make sure I answer your question correctly, Rod. If you can provide me with some clarity there. And I'll give you a moment to respond here. And if anybody else have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those now. Like I said, we have a few more moments. And I want to make sure that I maximize you guys' time by also respecting your time. And as we continue to get to the questions, we can go to the next slide here, of others towards you and self. Awesome. So as I answer this question, I do want to put on the screen here, because I don't want to run out of time, is your personal development plan. When you do get this, it's going to give you access to that. It's going to send a direct email to you. It also gives you access to my newsletter every month so you can know what's going on and be abreast of those things. So, criticism, listen, comparison is the thief to self-love. When I do not see my value and worth, it's so much easier for me to compare myself to others, which then creates an internal rejection that is then confirmed externally. Let me break that down. What do I mean by that? Rejection does not exist externally, it only exists internally. It is who I say I am. And then when I'm navigating through life, if someone says it to me, I either agree or disagree with what they say. So when it comes to criticism, I only criticize myself when I don't believe that I am the best me there is. When I believe that I'm defective, when I believe there's something wrong with me. There's a difference between wanting to grow and me trying to change who I naturally am. Now, you might be saying, well, Mylira, how do I know who I naturally am? So when I'm working with individuals, I do the Myers-Briggs assessment. They do this a lot when it comes to careers and being in the workplace. But the Myers-Briggs assessment really talks about who you are personality-wise. And if you go to www.16personalities.com, I'm going to actually put it inside of the chat here. It's going to give, hold on, I think that's spelled wrong. 1 second. I can't type and talk at the same time. It's going to give you what your personality type is. Why do I say start here? Because you have to essentially know who you are. When I stop trying to change myself to fit the mold of what other people think I should be, then I begin to embrace myself. So I'm a bold person. I am loud. I'm very bubbly. If you put on music, if someone wants to play a song right now, I will get up and dance. I don't care. You know, I had to embrace that. I'm also somebody who's very caring, very loving, and I can be easily taken advantage of because I genuinely love people. I had to embrace that part of me because once I know who I am, now I can create healthy boundaries. Now I'm not coming to myself as criticism, but I'm accepting myself of my strengths and my weaknesses. And if you use the 16 personalities, the thing that I love, you do not have to do the paid version because I don't. It breaks you down as who you are holistically, who you are in a relationship, who you are as a friend, who you are as a parent, who you are in the workforce, who you are in different capacities, because who you are is who you are. You can't change you. We've all been created innately as a being. So once I accept me for who I am, when people criticize me, essentially, I can now eat the meat and spit out the bones. I can eat what I can take from it, and I can dismantle what I can't take from it because I am sure in who I am. And nobody else can tell me who I am. I really hope that that answered your question. And I also gave you another resource. Can we apply some of the things you talked about in our work? Absolutely. It would be awesome to apply some of these concepts to my youth. Yes. So I actually have a coaching program that I've done with youth who is on the other side of suicide attempt. And they've gone through this coaching program and they've learned the 6 dimensions of life. They learn self-love. They learn to embrace their strengths, their weaknesses. They've learned how to incorporate this in their relationships because our youth need it. It's better to start when it's a young person than to have someone who's an adult that has all these negative self-talk in their brain because nobody told them different. So if you do this with your work with your youth, imagine how much other years of self-hate that you can now go ahead and reduce. So please use this with your youth for sure, because it is going to be extremely helpful, because the sooner we start to rechange their thinking and what they tell themselves, the more self-love they'll be able to walk in. Any more questions or comments? We can go to the next slide here as well. I know that you guys probably get an evaluation, but your feedback is welcome. This is for me, this is my life purpose. I don't just do this because I'm a therapist. I don't just do this because I just want to talk all day, but I genuinely do this because I want to change people's lives. I don't want to add to the 139 successful suicides that happens every single day. I want to actually eliminate that number. I want to decrease that number. And you being able to tell me what you gained from this, what you think from it, is going to really help me with that. And then we can go to the next slide here. And this is just my contact information. If this has been fruitful to you or beneficial, that number comes directly to me. Please feel free to utilize it. Again, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful to be here. This is very, very special to me. So I really, really hope that you guys gain something from this and that you walk away different than what you came. And that is what I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time. I see the comments. Thank you guys so much. I'm humbled and grateful. And I really do hope that you're able to incorporate it into your week and into your own life as well.
Alrighty. Since we don't have any questions, we will wrap up the presentation. I want to once again thank Mylira for presenting today. Before we end the session, I want to let you all know that there will be an eval popping up once Zoom closes. We'd love to hear what you thought, so if you're able to fill that out, we'd very much appreciate it. We'll be sending out a newsletter when our next webinar or set of webinars are approved, and we hope you enjoyed them. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded and will be uploaded onto Redwind's YouTube channel within the next few days. You can also find our previous recordings there. In closing, I'd like to thank our presenter, I'd like to thank our captioner, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you all stay safe, and I hope to see you at the next webinar.